Hello everyone, welcome to the first lesson on how you can create this cool e-commerce application. So first of all, we will be looking at the requirement that we need to meet. So here we have a carousel view, and at the bottom we have tab view, but this tab view is not just normal tab view, it's a customized tab view. So in our first lesson, we are going to look at how we can create this customized tab view. And then further on, lesson by lesson, we will be looking at how we can complete this cool e-commerce application. So let's start with the very first lesson, which is how we can create this customized tab view. Here we have a new project, and in this very first lesson, we will look at how to create that customized tab view. So first of all, we are going to remove the code, and we are going to add a background color for our tab view. And we also need to have a black background for our application. So if you look closely, we have a black background, and on that black background we have a tab view, but the tab view height doesn't look good. So let's arrange its styles. So let's give it height 80, and let's introduce padding. So why we are introducing padding on the horizontal? Because we need to give the spaces from left or right. And in order to give space from left right, we introduce padding dot horizontal. So here we have added a background to the tab view, and we have also added a background color of our application. So next we are going to introduce horizontal stack for our menu items. So let's create an edge stack, and after adding this edge stack, now let's move some styles from rounded rectangle to this Z stack. Why? Because this Z stack is denoting our main tab view. Now let's move the styles from rounded rectangle to our Z stack. So here we have moved styles from rounded rectangle to the Z stack, so that the styles are applied to the rounded rectangle as well as our horizontal stack, in which we will be having our main view. So now next we are going to create a struct for our main view, where we will be having a 4 tab views, in which we will be having a name and an image. So for that we will be creating a struct with a name and image. So we have created a struct bottom menu with an image type string and name type string. After creating struct, we are going to introduce an array of the content that we will be needing in our bottom view. So first content will be home with an image of house.fill. Now this is a system image. So let's continue with the other items. So here we have an array of 4 menu buttons. Now let's update their content. After creating array of bottom menu, we will be needing a state to manage the selected menu. So let's create state with selected menu, and let's add an enum to the bottom type, because we will be comparing type whether it's home, whether it's menu, profile or settings. So in total we have 4 menu buttons, in which we have home, menu and profile, which can be seen here, but in this struct we don't have a type property. So it's better to make decisions on the basis of enum instead of string values. So now let's introduce this type to our bottom menu struct. After introducing it, it will give an error, because now this array which is of the type of bottom menu struct needs type to be declared. So it needs an argument which is type. So let's add type to all. After adding the type, now let's add the selected menu type, which will be equals to .home initially. Now after setting the array struct and enum, next we are going to introduce other menu items. So next we are going to introduce for each loop in the edge stack in order to add the button which we have in this array. So now let's introduce for each array bottom menu. Now after creating for each loop, it's saying that bottom menu must conform to identifiable. So now in order to do that, let's introduce ID, and that ID can be given any unique value, so which is type in our case. The type is unique. So let's add a type as an ID. Now let's remove this hard-coded string, and let's add the values that we have in our array. So here we have a menu image, name, and for each loop, and each loop has a menu in it. So it will be, so when a button is pressed, we will be setting our selected menu type to the menu.type, which is the button that we are going to press. Next, we are going to set the frame width as per our selected menu. The animation value will also be set to our selected menu. In this button, we have also created a background Z stack, which is filled with the color opacity of blue whenever a button is pressed. So if the selected menu type is equals to the menu.type, which is the button that we have pressed, its opacity will turn to 0.9. Same as we have added the frame width in which this button expands its width if the button is being pressed. So button width is being adjusted as per the selected menu type. So right now, if we can see that home is being selected by default, so home width is 110, whereas if we can see that other menu, their width is 50. So after adding these, we can see that we have achieved our tab menu, but the thing is missing that it doesn't look good because there are some empty spaces on right and left hand side. So let's introduce a spacing to it. After introducing spacing, we can see that our code has been improved, and if we can see that our tab view is achieved, but one thing is missing. We need to update the view. So in order to update our view, we need to add a switch case in order to look at which button is being pressed. So we are managing our type in against the selected menu type. So we will be adding a switch case for this selected menu type. So let's add switch selected menu type, and we have 4 different cases for 4 different tab views. So next we are going to add 4 different tags for this 4 different views. After adding tags to 4 different views, we can see that we have successfully achieved our custom tab view the way we wanted. So we are done with the very first lesson. Next, we will be looking at how to create the carousel view. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for more.